Detroit, Michigan. Tuesday, March 25th, 2006. 3:27 p.m. In a courtroom heavy with silence and tension so thick it felt like fog, a 13-year-old black boy stood on the precipice of his fate. His name was Elijah Turner. Every eye in the room locked on the judge. The gavel in his hand hovered, seconds away from delivering a sentence that would rewrite Elijah's life forever. But just before the final strike came down, Elijah uttered two words that would change everything. This isn't just a courtroom story. It's a testament to how even the quietest voice can deliver the loudest truth, and how sometimes the most powerful disruption doesn't come from rage, but from raw, perfectly timed honesty. Elijah had already endured more than most kids his age. Caught in the gears of a broken justice system, misrepresented by a public defender who barely knew his name, and dismissed by adults who never stopped to see the child before them. He had learned that survival often meant silence. But this time, silence would cost him everything. As Judge Raymond Foster raised the gavel, the courtroom held its collective breath. Prosecutors smirked, assured their job was done. Elijah's attorney avoided eye contact, his folder barely open. The air was seconds from sealing Elijah's future based on assumptions and appearance. That happened. Elijah raised his head. His voice was quiet, but unwavering. Two words. Listen to me. That was the moment Elijah rewrote his destiny. No yelling. No dramatics. Just the truth. This is the story of how those two words cracked open hidden evidence, revealed deep-rooted courtroom bias, and sparked a national reckoning on race, silence, and justice. Elijah Turner was a quiet, creative kid from the east side of Detroit. He loved sketching sneakers in his notebook, reading graphic novels in the library, and caring for his younger sister, Layla. The kind of boy who held doors open for neighbors, helped carry groceries, and remembered birthdays. But on a rainy Thursday, one moment turned his world upside down. He and Layla were walking home when they passed a convenience store. Minutes earlier, it had been robbed. The suspect had already fled. No weapon recovered. No stolen property found. But Elijah, tall for his age, in a hoodie, and with skin deemed suspicious, was all the officers needed. A squad car screeched to a halt. Officers jumped out, barking commands. Layla cried out, "He didn't do anything. He was with me." She clutched Elijah's sketchbook, which had hit the ground in the chaos. An officer with a blank expression shoved Elijah into the back seat. "Tell it to the judge," he muttered, slamming the door. At the precinct, Elijah was interrogated without a lawyer. No guardian, no advocate, just questions, loaded with assumptions. His attempts to explain disappeared into a void. His hoodie became a weapon. His silence became suspicious. His sketches were flipped through as if they were clues. No fingerprints, no footy, no stolen items. But Elijah was processed. A narrative had already formed, a black boy near a crime scene. His clean record meant nothing. Layla's testimony went unheard. In the days that followed, his school fell silent. Teachers no longer looked him in the eye. Friends disappeared. Praise for his drawings turned to suspicion. All because of how he looked, where he stood, and who the system presumed he was. Judge Foster, known for his harsh sentencing of black youth, leaned forward. His eyes burned into Elijah. "We don't have time for games," the judge said, dry and dismissive. "You were there. You fit the description. Guilty." Elijah stood in the witness box, hands trembling. His lawyer sat motionless. The prosecutor grinned, certain it was over. The gavel lifted, and then Elijah stepped forward. His voice cracked, but his words were strong. "Judge, listen to me." Time froze. Even a gavel paused. Elijah's breath came fast. He clutched a worn notebook. "I was chasing my sister's sketchbook. The wind blew it into the alley. That's when someone ran past me. I wasn't stealing. I was chasing her drawings." He opened the notebook, revealing colorful sketches, cartoons, superheroes, sneakers. All signed Layla in neat handwriting. Gasps filled the courtroom. The public defender leaned forward. The prosecutor's smugness faded. The judge stared at the notebook. These are the drawings the officers reported?" he asked. Elijah nodded. They didn't ask. They just grabbed me. And for the first time, the courtroom saw him not as a suspect, but as a brother trying to protect his sister's art. The gavel lowered. In the back row, a courtroom sketch artist named Lynn Morello captured the moment. Elijah's tear-streaked face, his outstretched hand holding the sketchbook. That night, Lynn posted the drawing on Instagram. Caption, "Judge, listen to me." It went viral. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. The clip spread like wildfire. The hashtag Justice for Elijah exploded. Civil rights lawyers shared it. Celebrities posted the sketch with quotes like, "Children aren't statistics. They have stories." News anchors covered it. Petitioners called for the judge's review. One petition surpassed 1 million signatures in 48 hours. A journalist uncovered new footage from a nearby business. It showed a tall man in dark jeans and a gray hoodie fleeing the crime scene. Not Elijah. The suspect matched the original witness description, but had never been pursued. The footage showed Elijah entering the alley seconds later, chasing a sketchbook. His body language wasn't guilt, it was panic. Presented with this evidence, the judge hesitated. "This is circumstantial at best," Judge Foster argued. "We can't bend to viral pressure." But Elijah was no longer alone. His public defender stood up. Voice steady. "This child was failed once. He will not be failed again." A long silence. Then the judge lowered the gavel. Charges dismissed. The sound rang out. Elijah's sister cried. His mother wept. Reporters scrambled. Elijah stood, stunned. Free. He walked out of the courthouse into the sunlight. Layla ran into his arms. For the first time in weeks, Elijah felt the sun without judgment. But he knew freedom wasn't just walking out of a courtroom. It meant using his voice. He partnered with local youth advocacy groups. He joined nonprofit panels, spoke at juvenile halls, led workshops called From Pencil to Power. Children affected by the justice system came to draw, write, and speak. In one workshop, a boy asked, "What if they don't believe me?" Elijah knelt down and said, "They didn't believe me either. That's why we speak louder." He became a core voice in the Know Your Rights campaign, teaching students how to protect themselves in police encounters. His sketchbook, Layla's notebook, went with him everywhere. A symbol. He began work on a graphic novel titled 2 Words. If someone like me had this book before, Elijah said in an interview, maybe they'd speak up sooner. Maybe they'd know they weren't alone. His story lives in classrooms now, in libraries, in legislation, because shortly after his release, Judge Foster came under formal ethics review. Past rulings were reopened. Patterns of racial bias emerged, and the law changed. Any minor taken into custody in Michigan must now have legal counsel present from the moment of questioning. No more silence under fluorescent lights. No more children forgotten. One crisp fall morning, Elijah stood on stage in a middle school auditorium. Dozens of students, teachers, and community leaders watched. He stepped to the microphone. "It only took 2 words to change my life," he said. "Listen to me. Sometimes that's all anyone wants." He spoke of fear, of not being believed, of speaking anyway. "Your voice matters," he said, "even when they try to silence you. Especially then." The crowd erupted. Students clapped. Teachers wiped away tears. One boy whispered to his friend, "He sounds like me." Elijah smiled, not for applause, but for connection. What began as survival became purpose. And his voice, once dismissed, now echoes across the country. 2 words, a notebook, and a boy who refused to be ignored. Elijah Turner didn't just save himself. He reminded the world what it means to be heard.